Hey, Lake Pickle here with Onyx. I want to talk about locating turkey habitat specifically in the southeast. Generally, one thing that a lot of people do that I think is kind of a mistake is they'll just look at a big area of timber and just assume there's got to be a turkey in there somewhere. What I want to do is talk about how you can kind of narrow that down and put yourself in a better situation and really hone in on areas within that big stretch of timber where you're likely to find turkeys. Turkeys need a variety of different things, and when you put those different things together, you're more likely to be able to find them and really center in on one spot. They do need timber, they need trees to roost in, they need water, they need food, they need open areas to strut, to bug, to eat. They need nesting habitat for the hens when they put nest out and when they have poults. So typically what I'm looking for on a map, so if I'm running the Onyx map, for example, I'll be sure to have my hybrid base map on. I do that for a lot of reasons. One, it gives me topographic lines so I can see the different changes in the topography on the landscape. It gives me water features so I can see the creeks and the drainages and that different sort of thing. And I also use that to look for recent clear cuts, ag fields. So what I'm looking for, especially if I'm going to hunt a new area, if I'm going to somewhere that I've never been before, I'll pull up a map, and if I can see a spot where there's a creek running through, there's an ag field, be that a recent cut or a cow pasture near it, if there's big timber nearby, I'm gonna mark that spot as somewhere that I'm gonna go look in and look for turkey sign, because there's a lot of things that a turkey's gonna like in one proximity area. Another thing that I'm going to look for is timber changes. A very useful layer within the app is the tree species layer. Down here in the south, we have a running ton of plantation pines. So there's a layer within that tree species layer called deciduous versus coniferous. If I turn that layer on, it shows me where all my timber edges are. It'll show me where my creek drainages are. I've had a ton of success finding turkeys where pines transition into hardwoods, because if the pines have been managed well, a lot of times those pines can be used for nesting habitat, or if they've been burned, turkeys are going to want to be in there as well. But I've had a lot of success in that area as well. So to sum it all up, look for habitat diversity, look for open areas, look for creeks and drainages, and look for good roosting trees.
Jared here with Onyx, and I want to talk to you a little bit about locating turkey habitat, particularly in the Midwest. Like Lake said, turkeys rely on food, water, cover, and roost sites. And so what I'm using the Onyx Hunt app to really key in on is I'm using the crop data layers to find those likely food sources. And so within our crop data layers, you're gonna find over 19 different species of crops. I'm particularly keying in on corn, soybeans, and alfalfa. These are gonna provide not only a great food source, but open areas for turkeys to go out, dry off after rain, to strut in and go bugging around in. And then one overlooked piece of habitat in the Midwest that I've had a lot of success turkey hunting is in and around wetlands. And so within that same layers of tree species and habitat, we have both herbaceous and woody wetlands categorized. And I often find that turkeys will use those edges of those swamps, particularly those hens have great cover to nest in and raise poults in, just in that thicker cover. And so if you're utilizing those layers, combine them with our hybrid base map, that's going to make all of the topography pop, as well as really show those creek drainages. So utilize those features to hone in on key turkey habitat and find more birds across the Midwest.
If you don't know how to read topography, I would strongly advise learning how to. That's one of the greatest tools that you can put in your arsenal. Now, the reason for that, if I take the Onyx Hunt app and I pull up just the satellite imagery on a piece of ground, it may look like I'm getting a lot of information, but in reality, I'm not. Say if I'm hunting a place like Northwest Mississippi or in the Midwest where we know that there's a lot of steep ridges, a lot of drainages. If I'm just looking at the satellite imagery, I have no idea what's there. For all I know, it's flat ground. So one thing I always have on is hybrid maps. That tells me where the ridges are, tells me where the creeks are, and as far as translating that into a turkey hunting setting, I use that to know if I'm hearing a turkey gobble. I use that to read what kind of obstacles are in my way. Is there a creek on the other side? Are there multiple ridges that he has to cross? So learn how to read topo if you don't already. Run your maps on the hybrid base map. It'll give you so much more chances for success in the upcoming spring.